currently 6 a.m. Now I'm finally in Chicago. I've wanted to come to Chicago for a long time. It's very cold. It's -2 degrees, a little bit of a shock to the system because we've just come from Los Angeles where we were there for Adobe MAX and learning all sorts about new software and creative people. It was nice and lovely and warm. It's pretty cold here. It kind of feels good to be out. I think it's going to take a little while for my body to adjust. And we're only in Chicago for 2 days, really. Technically here for like a few more, but realistically we only have 2 days to make it count and get some shots. Of course, we're starting our morning at the Cloud Gate, aka the Bean. Are you all wrapped up?
I'm not really here with the hood up, so I'm like, what?
You look like an owl.
What? What'd you say?
I got a question. Who cleans the bean? Does someone come around and polish it?
Bean itself.
Self-cleaning bean.
Yeah.
I'm having really good first vibes of Chicago. There's something about the aesthetic here that's kind of bright, and I think it's the road texture. Like it's not a dark like asphalt. It's almost kind of what you see in hotter climates, but equally with all the sort of raking, I guess, for the winter weather and whatever. But yeah, there's like a brighter aesthetic which makes it look cleaner. It's definitely, if I'm going to compare it to New York, it definitely feels cleaner. And the reason I'm comparing is to New York is because it's such a built-up and urban sort of industrial feeling of a city, but cleaner. I also love that along the riverside there are countless bridges. I actually don't know how many bridges there are in Chicago, but there's a lot. And interestingly, they all seem to be drawbridges. All of these can open up for large ships to come through. I don't know how often that happens. It'd be great if we saw one today. The personality of a skyline changes completely depending on the time of day, where you are when you see it, the angle of view. Like, so many different factors change how you see a skyline. So currently we're in I guess like a parking garage, and we're just seeing areas where we've got like the tracks coming through, and I'm finally just seeing the tip of the John Hancock building. This is one of 2 buildings that I am eager to see in Chicago for their styling. You know, most buildings aren't black, and these are like a matte black. They look really cool, but also they are just iconic for Chicago, especially with the white antenna at the top. They're just really cool. I can only see half of it at the moment, but we'll see it all in a minute. don't think I'll ever find mornings easy, but they're always worth it. Heading off to the sort of spit of land that sticks out into the lake facing the Chicago skyline. We're on the hunt for skyline shots, and this is the signature skyline. The skyline of Chicago is possibly one of my favorites in America, and maybe even one of the best in the world. From this side, the main dominance is the John Hancock building. It's got such a strong sort of podium-like design to it. And on the other end, we've got the Sears, or the former Sears Tower, the Willis Tower now, which equally has a matte black sort of finish to it, and the gloss of the glass a little bit more prominent, but also with that white antenna and the iconic stepped design. These have been two buildings on my unwritten list of tall buildings I've wanted to see since I was very, very young. The Sears Tower in particular has always been number 2 to Taipei 101, and I'm pretty glad to have been able to have checked off both this year. Such strong buildings. We're just walking past this little alleyway. We're kind of, I think like a block or so north of the river. Just saw this alleyway and I was like, oh, there's something down there for sure. Kind of like nice framing, dark, sort of like ironwork behind and stuff. And conveniently, Ellie bought a yellow coat literally just earlier today. So I was like, Ellie, put the coat on, get a shot down there. So yeah, we're just kind of playing around with the light and getting some various shots. Gone for long lens on this. It's just nice to kind of like bring the subject kind of closer and sort of like bring in the background. The telly just kind of compresses it down nicely. One of the natures of an urban city, somewhere as grand as Chicago and anywhere else in the world really, is that they are constantly evolving, constantly moving. We're on a bridge that's quite clearly a lot newer than the bridge that's hanging over here, which was, I don't know when it was decommissioned, but it looks like a moving sort of structure. And just behind you can see the antenna of the Willis Tower. And I can only imagine that not that long ago this used to be an epic view of the Sears Tower, as it was known then. It's just the nature of cities, and it's what really draws me to cities so much is the fact that they are fast moving. There's always something happening, there's always something changing. The same scene just looks different on so many parameters, and one of those is our own doing, our own mankind building. Once again, we spot some different shots down some of these roads. I'm not even sure what road we're on. I think it's Randolph Street. And yeah, see some shot, and from the ground it looks pretty great. Hold on a second. Yeah, see from the ground and it looks pretty great. And then lo and behold, right next to it is a car park. So, of course, we find ourselves in a car park again, peering out. And these are just such great vantage points to get shots. The city just happens below. No one really notices you. It's great. So one of the things that I've been really enjoying about Chicago since we've been here is just how sort of grand and strong a lot of the buildings are, but equally how strong they are with natural stone materials. So what's kind of interesting is obviously growing up in the UK and living in London is that, you know, we have old buildings, stone buildings, but they are many, many hundreds of years old, and a lot of them are kind of maybe not quite built to the same sort of size and straight direction as what we're seeing here, because it's being built with newer designs and more ambitious sort of, I guess, architecture, but using traditional materials, because these are all built, say, 1900 and something. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'll be using my urban stone collection for editing these images, and I love cracking these out because they are designed purely for stone-based architecture in urban environments. Places such as Chicago, New York, Paris, London, all over Europe. And I really enjoy the micro color contrast you get from editing the shots here. So if you're interested in those, you can check out the link in the description. The whole time we've been exploring Chicago, as I keep mentioning, there have been two buildings on my mind all the time. One of those, and I keep using the name interchangeably because I'm trying to train my brain to call it the Willis Tower, because I grew up calling it the Sears Tower. And I finally seen the most amount of surface area of the Willis Tower these past couple of days, and I don't think I'm quite going to be able to find the time to see the silhouette that I recognize of the Willis Tower, just the kind of steps and everything up to the antenna. But just seeing it in its black glass glory next to some stonework it's pretty special. It's yeah, you know, when you just have certain buildings and almost memories of places, even though I hadn't been there when I was younger, like this is one of those.